That night was strange from the very beginning. I was on a business trip and decided to stay at a simple hotel, one of those cheap ones that looks acceptable at first glance. The room had an old vibe, but still it was cozy enough. However, there was something peculiar about the large mirror on the wall. I can't explain it well, but it seemed darker, almost opaque. The reflection was blurry, like it was trying to hide something. That uncomfortable feeling began right there, but I was tired and didn't want to pay too much attention to it. It was almost 11 at night when I started getting settled in the room. I tossed my bag on the bed and went to look for my phone charger. That's when, walking past the mirror, I touched it absent-mindedly. As soon as my hand made contact with the glass, something strange happened. The reflection felt too cold, much colder than it should have. I could feel something on the other side, a chilling sensation, almost like an invisible presence trying to touch my skin. The feeling was so intense that I took a step back, but I couldn't stop staring at the mirror. I tried to ignore it, thinking it was just exhaustion or some hallucination. But as time went by, that feeling of discomfort grew stronger. I could feel a weight in the air, as though something was watching me. There was no one else in the room with me, but I couldn't take my eyes off the mirror. The reflection seemed to be watching me, following me, and the more I tried to look away, the stronger the feeling that something wasn't right became. My mind was starting to play tricks on me, and I couldn't relax anymore. At first, I tried to rationalize, thinking it was just fatigue or stress from the trip. But as time passed, the sense of unease kept growing. I could feel a presence. It was as though the mirror wasn't just a reflection, but a window to something beyond. The discomfort only increased. I looked around, but everything seemed normal, except for that damned mirror, which made me feel like someone was there, but not visible. I didn't know how to handle it, and the feeling of being watched never left. When the silence in the room was broken by a faint sound, panic took over. The sound was coming from the mirror. At first, I thought it was something in the room, something falling or shifting, but when I looked at the mirror again, the sound was definitely coming from there. I froze, not knowing what to do, but when I got closer to the mirror, the sound stopped abruptly. Everything was silent, but the feeling that something invisible was still there lingered, as if the mirror was filled with secrets. Trying to convince myself that it was just my mind playing tricks on me, I went back to the bed. But the fear kept growing inside me. I felt like something was watching me, like the mirror wasn't just glass, but a gateway to something else. The unease kept intensifying. I kept glancing around, but the only thing that stood out was that oppressive feeling coming from the mirror. It wasn't just a reflection anymore. It felt like the mirror was trapping me, pulling me into its hold. I looked again at the mirror. Now it seemed even more distorted. The shadows in the reflection were moving. Something was there, but I couldn't see what it was. I reached out to touch the glass again, but something told me not to. The coldness intensified, and a sense of dread consumed me. Something was moving inside the mirror, but it was like it was in another plane. The glass wasn't just a reflection anymore. It felt like it was absorbing my attention, locking me in that moment. I backed away slowly from the mirror, almost unwillingly, but my body was in full panic mode. I looked around, trying to find some logical explanation for what was happening. But the silence in the room felt even heavier now. Every sound in the room seemed amplified, and all I could hear was the rapid beating of my heart. The fear was consuming me, and I didn't know whether I should leave the room or if this thing would follow me outside. But the mirror, with its dark presence, was still there, as if it was calling me back. The sensation that something was watching me became unbearable. I needed to leave that room, but something was holding me back. It was like an invisible force was keeping me there. I looked again at the mirror, and for a brief moment, I saw something that froze me, a shadow, very subtle, moving behind me. But when I looked behind me, there was no one there. Whatever it was there, inside the mirror, watching me. I didn't know what to do anymore. Panic took over, and without thinking, I grabbed my backpack and went for the door. With trembling hands, I tried to open the door, but the lock was stuck, as if something on the other side was preventing me from leaving. I was starting to lose it. The mirror was reflecting an increasingly strange environment, and whatever was in there seemed to be calling me. When I finally managed to open the door, I ran down the hotel corridor. I didn't want to look back, but I felt like something was following me, a constant presence, something I couldn't explain. I reached the front desk and asked to change rooms, but the receptionist seemed indifferent. He just looked at me, expressionless, and told me there were no more rooms available. The feeling of being watched increased as I was standing there, but the worst came when, looking toward the door, I saw the reflection of the mirror in the corridor, showing my own face, but with a twisted smile. I knew I was no longer safe there. I left the hotel, never returned to the room, and never passed by that street again.